Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we're going to do something a little bit different because I've been getting kind of nostalgic recently for my old Iron Warriors army that I had in 3rd edition when I started playing Warhammer 40k. And part of what we're going to do today is also influenced by some videos by Midwinter Minis and The Outer Circle, who have both in recent weeks talked about the different kind of the cost changes when it comes to Games Workshop products, how some units are more expensive, some have stayed the same, some have actually stayed cheaper. The thing is, when I made my Iron Warriors army, way back in the day, I didn't really have any idea as to how much this stuff cost. As in, I don't really remember, and I don't really remember because I was in high school. I was not working a job, I didn't have a stable income, so to speak. I had pocket money, I did chores, and a significant amount of that army was either trading stuff with friends or getting stuff second hand, or, you know, it kind of accumulated without me ever really putting a full cost together. I didn't spend money on anything else, really. I wasn't a big cinema goer, I didn't collect a load of albums or anything like that. It was mostly 40k, and until that point, I just didn't tend to buy very much. So that force has always kind of lingered in the back of my head as I have no idea how much I actually spent on that, but surely it would have been quite the amount, right? It was, after all, a fairly sizable army. But what I'm curious about is, if I were to build that force today, how much would that cost me now? How much would that cost in today's money? Because I have a feeling that it would be somewhat crushing, and I'm kind of interested to find out. Now, before we go into this, we need to know the list. And the list, admittedly, was not great. I didn't win very often, but it was a lot of fun. Lots of artillery. I mean, it's Iron Warriors. What else are you going to do? So, the list was a Warsmith, a Demon Prince. There was also 10 Chaos Terminators, because Terminators are class, and even as a young idiot, I knew Terminators were class. 20 Chaos Space Marines, 2 Rhinos, a Basilisk, a Land Raider, 2 Defilers, and a Dreadnought. I'm trying to remember, off the top of my head, whether I had a Vindicator in there as well. Now, of course, I couldn't field all of those at once. If I remember correctly, the Dreadnought was a heavy support slot, and so instead of elites. So things kind of got switched out, but most often I ran with 2 Defilers and a Basilisk, and then either a Land Raider or a Dreadnought, which you could do. You could take 4 heavy support slots with Iron Warriors if you sacrifice 2 fast attack slots, which is a super cool rule, and I really liked the fact that you could do that back then. There is also the fact, of course, that Iron Warriors could take a Basilisk, which is something that was not available to other Chaos Space Marine armies at the time. Again, class. Such a good codex. Still my favourite. So, with that being said, how much would it cost for me to make all of that again? Well, to be honest, we can start it off fairly easily. Some of this is going to be a bit tricky, but we can start it off fairly easily with the Warsmith. So if we start with the first HQ choice, Warsmith is still being sold by Games Workshop for £10. It's still the same metal Warsmith. So yeah, this set contains 1 metal Iron Warriors Warsmith. Nice and simple, nice and easy to start us off. A tenner for an HQ. To be honest, that's really good value compared to pretty much every other HQ that Games Workshop makes now. So, a good start. We do, however, immediately run into complications when it comes to the second HQ, because the second HQ is not the Hellbrute. Where's he gone? There he is. The Demon Prince. Now, when I say recreating my Iron Warriors army, I'm not talking going back and getting everything as it was then. I'm perfectly happy with a lot of the newer models. I say a lot of the new models. A good portion of this list is still the original models. The Chaos Space Marines and the Chaos Terminators, those have been updated, but the Defiler is the same kit. The Land Raider is the same kit. The Rhino is the same kit. The Dreadnought, of course, is now very different because it's the Hellbrute and not a Dreadnought at all. But, for the most part, when it comes to the vehicles, not much has changed. The Demon Prince has, however, and I've done an entire video talking about why I prefer the older Demon Prince. And if I was going to make this army again now, even using modern units, I would want to have one of those actual metal Chaos Demon Princes. I would prefer to have that, because whilst this is a good kit with a lot of options, it doesn't have the same feel to me at all. It can be used in both 40k and Age of Sigmar. It's got a good number of options out of the box. It is nice and customizable. These are all good things that I'm not going to complain about, but it doesn't have the same attitude to me. It just doesn't look as good to my eye. And so I would want to actually have one of those originals. What are you going to do? Well, I mean, the initial place to look is going to be eBay. Now, as you can see, I did find this lad before. If you're just going to go second hand and strip the model, it's actually not too bad. It's not too bad. There's a few like undeservingly expensive options on here, but this one, it's not in too bad nick, to be fair. Yeah, the paint job isn't great, but you'd strip it anyway, because this isn't Iron Warriors colours, this is Black Legion, and so why would you? But whilst it's not the best paint job in the world, it also looks to have been painted relatively thinly. It's not like the detail has been completely swamped. It wouldn't be an absolute pain to strip. The sword's a little bit bent, but then again, that would happen no matter what you did, so really, that's just one of those things. You get used to it, don't you? For the most part, it looks to be in pretty decent nick, and having said that the paint isn't on that thick, in multiple areas on this thing, you can clearly see that the metal is showing through the paint, either because it's chipped off or because the paint is that thin, or maybe they didn't prime it before they painted it. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is in pretty decent nick and would be easily cleaned up. Strip it down and you've got that classic metal Chaos Demon Prince. And 25 quid plus £3.45 shipping only puts it about £1 more expensive than buying the current, new, existing Demon Prince. So we will add £28.45, although admittedly, if you don't get in quick, something like this could disappear kind of fast, so you'd need to grab it when you saw it. Probably wait around and find a decent one. There are other options. I saw this one. Yeah, this is baffling. This is very baffling. Someone's green stuffed the hell out of that, and I have no idea why. I don't have a clue. There's not supposed to be this big lump of weird on the back of the neck going down to the head. It's like they've given it a couple of extra eyes or something. Super bizarre decision. Don't know why it was done. I mean, yeah. A choice. A choice was made there. And not necessarily a good one. If you want one out of the, like, actually in the box, that's going to get silly. I mean, 90 quid. It's a nice model. Is it worth £90? No. Although they are offering free postage, so that's nice. Yeah. I think we'll stick with the first option. Something in okay condition. Not been like absolutely slathered in paint. So, we've got our Demon Prince. Whilst we're talking stuff that's out of production, let's talk about the Dreadnought. Because, of course, the Dreadnought isn't a thing now. It's the Hellbrute. If you wanted to do the classic Dreadnought, like you would have back in the day, again, you can find them on eBay. And there's quite a few decent options for the Metal Chaos Dreadnought. The thing is, there is now another option for this slot. There is quite a fun option at that. See, these are all very well, and in fact I do already have one of these. And I do like it, don't get me wrong. It's a really cool model, and I think it's actually kind of aged pretty well. But you also now have access to these Contemptors, more specifically the Iron Warriors Contemptor. Now, if I'm remaking this army with only a couple of old, like I say old models, a couple of out of production models, then it would probably have to be either that metal one or this Contemptor. I mean, this is a really solid Iron Warriors Dreadnought. It's usable. It has, a datasheet. It has rules. It's pretty perfect as a replacement for that out of production Chaos Dreadnought. So I'd be kind of in two minds as to whether to, well, in three minds as to whether to get a Iron Warriors Legion Contemptor, whether to repaint or buy another of the Chaos Space Marine Metal Dreadnoughts, or whether to go the Hellbrute route. There's actually some pretty decent options, and two of them are fairly similar in price. The Hellbrute and the Metal Dreadnought, you can find a second-hand one of those for around the same cost. Obviously, the Contemptor is more expensive. You're talking 38 quid for the body and then 11 quid for each of the arms. So that is more pricey. Question is, what would I get most enjoyment out of having in the army? To be honest, it would probably be the Contemptor. I would probably lean that way, which I will regret, no doubt, when we see the total cost of everything. But that would be 49 quid, so 60 quid for the Contemptor, which we will add on. God, I always forget how expensive those are. I always forget, and then I turn around and I've got 4 of them. And I'm like, what the hell? Why did I do that? So, we've got the Metal Demon Prince. We have the Warsmith. We have a Contemptor. Now it's on to the Terminators. Now, the Terminators, to be fair, not too bad. Not too bad. 35 quid, although there are 10 of them, which immediately makes that way more expensive and crushing. So, but these look so good. They're like a couple of iterations away from the Chaos Terminators that I had at the time. The metal ones that you could reasonably kill someone with. I mean, the Metal Dreadnought, you could absolutely butcher someone with that. These were not that far off. They were heavy, heavy models. And, you know, you stick one of them in a sock and you could do some serious damage to someone. These, though, they're a couple of iterations away from those, but the feel is very much the same. They look similar. They've been changed slightly, but they've been kept very true to what they are. As such, I have absolutely no problem with getting the newer versions of these, because they are going to be easier to paint, they'd be easier to put together, they'd just be easier to work with than those big, solid, well, I say big, these are bigger than the older ones, but like the solid chunks of metal. So I'll probably just go with these, which adds another 70 quid on. So, Lord. So with 10 Terminators, a Demon Prince, admittedly, a Demon Prince not from Games Workshop, a Warsmith, and a Dreadnought, we are already looking at £168.45. That's not including any of the vehicles outside of the Dreadnought, of course, or any of the Chaos Space Marines. So, these lads, exactly the same cost. I had 2 squads, so that would be another 70 quid to add to that. Which, again, takes it up considerably. But again, I would be absolutely fine with using these. Hell, if I'd have done this video, like, not even that long ago in the grand scheme of things, then I would still be, like, pricing up, what, like the same kit that I used at the time? Or damn close to it anyway. There are no significant changes to that kit between when I bought, like, my first one during third and when these guys replaced it. Which is, yeah, that's a whole thing. But we do have nice, shiny, new Chaos Space Marines now. And I'd be totally happy to use these, because these are, I think, just generally better models than those. Yeah, they're not as customizable, they're not as posable, but they flow better and they have more of their own personality. It's less a tactical squad with spikes and more, I don't know, they've just got more of their own feel. I like them. I'd be fine with it. So, we've got 2 squads of Chaos Space Marines. Rhinos. Rhinos have gone up in price. Rhinos are, yeah, I mean, they're not awful in the grand scheme of 40k pricing, but still, 27.50 is a, yeah, for a transport, although it could be worse. Other factions have it way worse than just 27.50 for a transport, let's be honest. So, add 2 Rhinos onto that. Admittedly, I only ever painted one of mine, and the other one languished in base-coated nonsense for a long time, and I never got round to doing anything with it. But still, I had 2 in the list, and as such, I've got to get 2 again. Now we're down to the vehicles. We're down to the vehicles at this point, and this is where it gets seriously crushing, because the Chaos Rhino is the same kit. the Defiler is the same kit. I'm not going to talk about getting the Defiler when it first came out and being so excited again, because you've all heard it before. But I had 2 of these. They live on in various forms, in various kit bashes, but neither of them are functional models anymore. Hell, the one that I actually did mostly, I say finish painting, it looked terrible because I didn't know what I was doing. It kind of lives on because its 2 claws are attached to one of my Chaos Knights, but that's 2 of those is gonna round up to a nice 90 quid there. Which, yeah, ouch. I mean, it's an old model. That is an old model now. It's bloody ancient, this thing. But it's not as ancient as this, the Chaos Land Raider, which is 50 quid now. I am damn sure that it was nothing like this when I bought one back in the day. No way. Not a chance was it this much. Well, I mean, we know that because it was 45 quid like a year ago, so clearly it's gone up in price, but that £50 price tag just really does not sit well because it's exactly the same. I don't think there's been any changes to this thing since I bought one in 3rd edition. I don't think there's been any change. And 3rd edition was, let's not forget, was 1998, and the second Chaos Codex that arrived during 3rd edition was 2002. The first one was in 99, and then the other one was in 2002. This is getting on a bit now, so that cost is, boy, that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a really hard pill to swallow. But swallow it we must. Swallow it we must. So that's an extra 50 onto the price, which takes us up to a reasonable £432.45. And on to the final thing. The final thing, which, to be honest, there'd be no point buying. This is the bit where really I should be smart and sensible and say, if I was going to do this, I'd skip the Basilisk, because you can't use it. That's not been a thing for quite some time now. This is not an option. It's not a viable option because it's not an option at all. So, I mean, what's the point? What is the point? You could sit there and ask repeatedly, why? Why bother? Why would you do it? Where's the sense? You can't use it. You can't use this, so why buy it? Except it was a core part of that army. It was something I really liked having. It was something that, frankly, brought a lot of joy to a lot of the games I had. You know, some of the daft games that we had where not rules are out of the window, but, you know, your mate's having a game on the next table over, the Basilisk has got a range of 128 inches, and so you help him out by firing your gun at him. And everyone allows it because it's funny. That kind of thing, that kind of memory and that kind of, approach to the game is what formed how I play 40k and how I enjoy 40k. And as such, I would want this. I would paint it up even if I couldn't use it, and you never know. You never know. Show up with it and someone might go, yeah, you can take that. Why not? I mean, I'd allow it. I genuinely would. So I've got to add that on too. So that is another $32.50. Again, a little bit eye-watering because that is exactly the same kit as well. It's kind of... doing this is, in a way, a little bit eye-opening, given that same kit, same kit, same kit, same kit. And, of course, the Warsmith is also the same. They're old. They're old. There are people watching this video, genuinely, who will be younger than these, and that is just mildly terrifying. So, our final cost for me to rebuild my Iron Warriors army in full, same number of units, same vehicles, same overall composition, is £465.95. That is actually a little bit better than I thought it would be, genuinely. I really thought it'd be more than that, but that is still pretty eye-watering, and looking at it in isolation as if I were to buy it all in bulk right now, that's how much it would be, puts me off like you wouldn't believe. Admittedly, I don't have a plan to just go for it and suddenly start that as a project, because God knows I've got enough other stuff to paint and enough other stuff to actually put together, and there's all the Necrons that I've got, and, you know, it's just maybe something for the future, but I'm pretty sure that it did not cost anywhere near that much when I first made that army, but it was a lot of fun. And it's kind of weird to put a price tag on fun when you look at it like that, but I would say that it was worth it. And I'd say that honestly, in terms of how much enjoyment I get out of it as a project and the stuff that I might be able to do, I say might be able to do, would definitely 100% be able to do better now. It would probably be worth it, honestly. Anyway, that was just a random exercise that I decided to do, because why not? It's sometimes fun to look back at the stuff that you've done before and kind of compare to what it would take to get it all back and do it again. Although still, 50 quid for a Land Rover and 45 quid for a Defiler are really, it's really preying on me, you know? It's really preying on the mind there. Have you ever gone back and priced up one of your first armies? If so, did it make you wince, or did it make you think, actually, that sounds about right? Would you do it again, or have you moved on in terms of hobby projects? Would you not want to revisit something that you've already done once? And if you did go back and do it again, did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? Is it something you still keep now? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like. You don't have to. It's completely up to you. As always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Again, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.